Hey, everybody, this is Sherry Ferguson with your Portland Connections. We are here talking with Barry Young, the director of the Sumner County Tourism. How are you doing, Barry?
I'm doing well for a Thursday. How are you, Sherry?
I'm doing well. Beautiful day. So we're all ready to get out in that sunshine, a little warmer than before, a little muggy. So we're getting into that summertime weather, but got some good things going on. Before we get started, let me remind everybody to comment for a chance to win $25 to Portland Pizza and Pub. I have the gift card right here.
Do I
So,
do I get to comment?
no, you don't count.
Oh,
So
oh,
next week you can comment when you're not a guest. So you
okay.
should be watching these anyway. So
I've been watching some of them. I have.
there you go. Well, let's talk. Let's start by tell a little bit about tourism. So some of the people that may watch this may not really know that Sumner County had a tourism department, and tell us what you do and how that work fits into to Sumner County.
Okay, well, we're the Sumner County Tourism Office. We're located at 2310 Nashville Pike, which is right in between Hendersonville and Gallatin. And yes, we promote Sumner County as a year-round destination for leisure, business travel. We just want people to visit, and in return, they spend money while they're here. And that helps the economy, that helps our local businesses, our restaurants, our hotels, our attractions. And we do that on a year-round basis. We try to get as many folks to come and visit as possible. Of course, as you know, things have been different here lately, and actually all across the state, we have not been promoting tourism as far as visitation immediately, but that is in the process of changing, as you probably know.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about where your funding comes from.
Most of our funding comes from the county hotel motel occupancy tax, which that's been a little bit hard to find lately.
Yes.
But we do get some revenue from selling ads, and we get a grant from the state and those kind of things. But most of our money comes from the county hotel motel tax. And we then turn around and promote the county and get more people to come and stay in our hotels and spend their money here. So hopefully it's a spiraling up effect each year. Hopefully we do a little bit better than we did the year before. And we've done that up until now. But COVID-19 has sort of changed everything. So we've kind of been knocked back a couple of steps. And our challenge is to promote tourism and get folks to visiting here again. And let's climb back up where we were, or even past where we were.
So the hotels are open now.
Yeah, as far as I know, our hotels in Sumner County have never been closed. The occupancy has been way down. To be honest with you, this thing hit in March as far as hitting here in Sumner County, and our March numbers were respectable. They were down, but they were actually not as bad as I thought they might be. April was the worst. I mean, April was pretty low. But the good news is we've already seen an uptick in visitation here at the hotels, and May and June look like they're going to be better. So that's good news.
That is good news. So let's go and let's move on into what can we expect in activity going on in the tourism side of Sumner County.
Well, we think we're well positioned to welcome guests back again. One of those reasons is part of our county is suburban and the other part of the county is rural. And we really believe, we've been told by all the experts, and we do believe this as well, that visitation is starting with folks who like the outdoors, the lake, our parks, our farms, our historic sites, our ballparks and things, now that recreation is starting to get geared back up. So we think outdoor activities is going to be the beginning of the resurgence of visitation, and we think we're very well positioned for that.
Well, I know that there are a few things that are coming out as far as activities. One local activity that we all want to know about are Fourth of July events. So the Portland has never hosted a Fourth of July event due to so many being in the surrounding areas. There's only so many fireworks shows that you could get it cram into a 3 or 4 day period, and that would pull visitors from us or from them to us. So we kind of have stayed away from that, done our fireworks during the Strawberry Festival. But what activities do you know of that may be able to go on? As you know, we canceled our Music on Main for
Yes.
June, but only June because we're trying to get back past that point. But we're hoping that we'll be able to gear up and start our July and move forward. So what who else has got things going on for the Independence Day?
Well, you might appreciate this, Sherry. Sometimes I'm the last one to find out about things. But seriously, I have not heard from the other communities. I do know about Hendersonville, and a lot of people have been asking about Hendersonville, about the Freedom Festival.
Yes.
And I do have news for that. I have good news. There is going to be a modified Freedom Festival in Hendersonville at Drakes Creek Park. In other words, we are going to shoot fireworks.
Yay.
It's my understanding that it's going to be bigger than ever. The other news to that is there's not going to be any large groups in the park. You'll have to view it either streaming online or be positioned in the city where you can see it, but you won't be able to have access to the park itself because obviously we've got to keep the large crowds down. There is going to be live music also, and we're working on that with Hendersonville Parks right now.
So the live music will be in the park, but people won't be there. Will they be streaming that? Is that what they're looking to do?
Yes, they're going to stream the music, and then at the conclusion of the music, and it may not last, it's not going to last as it normally does, but it's going to be streamed, the music, and then at the end, we'll have a fireworks show. And your two options would be to watch it online or to come to Hendersonville and be social distance on the streets around the park, and you'll be able to view it that way. That's my latest understanding.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully, people will be able to find locations to watch. I know, I think Nashville's done the same thing. You're going to have a fireworks show, but you can't go downtown. So I think Springfield, I think they did the same thing. We're going to have the fireworks in the park, but you can't come in the park. So I think it's kind of been kind of a standard that people are going with to keep down on the gatherings. So typically they had lots of booths there. So I'm assuming none of those booths will be going on, no food vendors, those type things then.
Yeah, it's my understanding it'll just be a stage with musicians and the fireworks. That will be it.
Well, it's a start.
Yes. It's better, I'm glad we're having something. And, I haven't heard from Gallatin yet. I haven't heard from the other communities, Westmoreland or White House. I don't really know what their plans are, but I'm glad you asked me about this, and I need to find out about it. So that's what I'll do here soon.
Well, and I don't think there's been official announcements, so they may still be waiting. I know with my Strawberry Festival, I waited till 2 weeks before because if there was any chance at all, I wanted to move forward with it. But, it was just kind of something that we couldn't do. So
Sure.
But so what other you don't just sponsor and help with events that we put on. There are other groups that come in and have events here, whether it's tournaments. So what type of things do you typically see, and what type of things do we have to look forward to that we're going to gradually get into this year?
Well, typically this time of year, we start our fishing tournaments. We have a lot of group tours that come in. Of course, all of our groups have postponed their trips for now, but the good news is most of our tour groups have not just plain out canceled. They've just postponed and are still hoping to come either later this year or early in the spring next year. We also have all kinds of sporting events, fishing, soccer, lacrosse, softball, baseball. And I know the governor came out today with some new guidelines on outdoor recreation. I have not had a chance to read that yet, so I don't know what has changed. But even before those came out, we are still planning on having, we've got 2 fishing tournaments coming up on Saturday, June 20th. And one of those is Crappie USA. So if you're a crappie fisherman, that's going to be over in Hendersonville at Saunders Ferry Park on June 20th. And then we're going to have a Bass Pro Shop Open Series in Gallatin at Bull Creek, and that's also on June 20th. So we've got a bass tournament and a crappie tournament on June 20th. So that's good news. And we've talked to our fishing folks, and they are going to follow the social distancing, and they're not going to have a big meeting or a big dinner like they normally have, just to keep the social distancing in order. We don't really see much about our lacrosse tournament has been canceled. Our soccer tournament has been postponed because those sports has a little more physical contact than your softball or your baseball. But speaking of fishing, I wanted to bring up actually this Saturday, June 6th, is a Tennessee Free Fishing Day. You can fish for free without a license anywhere in the state of Tennessee on Saturday. And that's a lot of times that's when adults will introduce kids to fishing for the first time.
Well, and in talking about fishing, so these tournaments that you mentioned that are on June the 20th, do they typically have spectators, or can you just walk up and join in on that? Is it something that people are pre-registered for and they come in from all outside? How do they usually work?
You have to register for it, and this year is a little different. Like I said, usually the night before the tournament, we'll have a registration meeting, so you can register then if you haven't registered already. But this year, we're not going to have a big meeting that brings everybody together. So you can register online, Crappie USA for the crappie tournament, or American Bass Anglers for the Bass Pro Shop Open Series. And then I believe the morning of the tournament, you can also register. But having said that, fishermen get up at the crack of dawn and they're in their boats and ready to go right when the sun comes up. That's one reason we can do fishing, because for the majority of the tournament, the fishermen, there may be 2 people in a boat, but they're out there on the lake by themselves from daylight until 2 or 3 p.m. when the weigh-in happens. But if somebody wants to register, I would encourage them to go ahead and contact Crappie USA for the crappie, or American Bass Anglers for the bass tournament.
Okay. All right. Well, that's always good to know. And I know that the waters have been full of boats. I have seen them all out on the lake. So people are getting out. They're doing lots of social distancing. Again, you're on a boat. You're only with the people in your boat. And I think they've had a few guidelines on boats, even on the water, but as far as limitations on people in the boat. But I think that people are itching to get out and do outdoor things. Also, I know you cannot find a bicycle. So if you're looking for a bicycle, you cannot go and purchase a bicycle because either they're trying so hard to get their kids out of the house, or they're actually wanting out of the house themselves.
And that's what gives Sumner County a good advantage. We have so many outdoor activities, and the lake, like you said, biking, or even if you don't want to do that, we have golf. Historic sites that have a lot of acreage where you can get out and walk around, parks. We've got trails in Portland. We've got trails out at Bledsoe Creek State Park. So it's a good thing that we have these outdoor activities. A place like Nashville right now, they're not having any conventions or any conferences or anything. And there's just the downtown hotels are really suffering because there's just not a lot of traffic down there at the moment. Things are starting to pick up, and eventually they will get back to normal.
Well, with that being said, I know that you've posted a lot of information. So it looks like Dollywood is opening back up as well. So that's a positive for Tennessee.
Yeah, Dollywood, I think it was June 15th, middle of June, somewhere in there, 17th, is opening back up. And, Tennessee has begun to open back up, and they're maybe doing it a little faster than some other states, but it does help our economy. But I did see this morning that Nashville has had some increased cases of COVID-19, so they're going to stay on phase 2. They were supposed to go to phase 3 but they've decided to stay on phase 2 for now, just to monitor the number of cases. So we do have to take it slowly. We have to be careful. But the governor, like I said, did come out with a new statement today about recreational activities and about close contact businesses, but I just haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Yes, it did just come out. I actually have it printed, and I've highlighted two lines, and then that's as far as I've gotten as well. So, and the area that I'm concerned with is the attraction and large venues. That's the first one that I've pulled off, and the main reason for that is, with our Music on Main, we want to make sure that we're looking at those festivals and events and the guidelines that they put in that, because they added those this time too. So I just want to make sure that we're doing everything that we are supposed to do when we do open up in July for our first Music on Main. So
yeah, and I don't know if you've heard, our neighbors to the south, Wilson County, they have canceled the Wilson County Fair this year.
And I can see that would be a difficult one to pull off. And I don't know when that was scheduled. Was it September?
I believe it's in August. It is a difficult one just because it's so well attended. There's so many people who come. It's the biggest fair in the state, as far as I know, and I hate to hear that. Of course, some of the good news we've gotten. This is also in Wilson County, but have you heard they're going to do a NASCAR race at the Nashville Super Speedway there in Wilson County? They had kind of abandoned it and shut it down, and now they've announced they're going to open it back up, and next year we're going to have a NASCAR race there. So that's great news for Middle Tennessee.
Right, and it's also great news because we're so close. They'll be occupying our hotels while they're actually doing that. So
absolutely, and even if they're not in our hotels, they're going to fill up all of Wilson County's hotels. So if there's something else going on in the area, they're going to come here. So that's great.
That's right, and we have to market to that area when we're doing something during that time too. So
that's right.
But any other great things going on in the area? And do you know anything about Nashville's conventions and things like that, when they will start back up?
I have not. Of course, we're members of the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation, and we get all their newsletters and things. I haven't really heard when the first convention is going to be. Of course, you may have heard on the news the Republican National Convention is talking to Nashville right now about moving from Charlotte, North Carolina to Nashville, because North Carolina is not opening up as fast as Tennessee is. So we'll have to see about that. But I haven't really heard about, when the first convention will be held in Nashville.
I don't think anybody wants to be that first one.
Exactly.
But somebody, Jessica Hunter did make a comment. She said, I think the NASCAR race will be at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Is that the same NASCAR race that you're talking about?
It's the same race, but from what I understand, they were negotiating with the fairgrounds and they never did come to a conclusion. And then there was a pause in everything and we haven't heard anything. And then all of a sudden yesterday, they've announced it's going to be in Wilson County. It's not going to be at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
But as far as I know, they were supposed to strike a deal with the fairgrounds and have racing there, but I don't think that ever happened.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's going to be close either way. So
that's right. Either way, it should help us.
That's right. Only thing better was if it was here. So
that's right. Portland, we need to, get a big racetrack in Portland. Of course, we've got one not far from you, isn't it? Highland Rim.
Yes, it is close. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they do races every weekend, I believe.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah. I did want to mention, Sherry. I don't know how much time do I have. Are you going to have me on here for 3 hours or what?
Well, not 3 hours, but when we lose all of our listeners, that's when I'll say you're done.
Okay. I did want to mention our historic sites. We always have a kickoff in the spring, and this year it was scheduled for April 4th. Of course, when COVID happened, we rescheduled it for June 6th, which is this Saturday, but now we've postponed it again until June 20th. But we are going to have a historic sites kickoff. And I wanted to read off some of the sites just aren't quite ready to participate, but let me read off the ones who are going to be open on June 20th. The Bledsoe Lick Historical Association, that's going to be out there at the Bledsoe Historical Park. in Castellan Springs. They're going to be open. Cragfont and Wynwood will be open. They're both in Castellan Springs. Rock Castle in Hendersonville, Rosemont in Gallatin, and Monthaven Arts and Cultural Center in Hendersonville. They're all going to be open on Saturday, June 20th for their historic site kickoff.
That's great. So once they open on that June 20th, then they'll be open their regular hours, or are they going to have modified hours? And
well, it depends on the site. Some of the sites are already open. Some of them will be opening on that day, and it just depends on the site. So you might want to call and check if you're going to come on a different day to make sure they're open. Or you can go to our website, visit sumnerpn.com, and hopefully we'll have some information on there about it.
Well, and we're actually lucky to have Days Gone By Museum here as well, here in Portland, and I'm hoping that they're going to be able to keep their October event of the thrashing still.
Well, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned them. We have reached out to them to see if they wanted to participate in the historic sites kickoff on the 20th, and I don't think they've given us a final answer on that yet. So it's possible they might be open on the 20th as well, but we don't know yet.
Right. Well, hopefully you'll hear back soon and we can put that out there. And if you'll send me information, we'll get that historic site, all of that on our Facebook page as well. I know a lot of times.
I do know we did.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. We did talk to the Cold Spring School, and they're just not quite ready to open up yet. So they would not be participating on the 20th of June.
Well, I know that, it is very interesting. We always want to go somewhere to do something, and we leave out our local events a lot of times. We'll travel 3 hours away to do something, to see something that's like Rock Castle or, the Douglas Clark House. But when it's right in our backyard, for some reason, it's not, we just don't take that effort to go. So hopefully this June the 20th will be a good time for our local people to get out and to see the local sites.
Absolutely. We've invited everybody to come out to those sites that are going to be participating in that. I do have a list of softball and baseball tournaments that we think are going to happen. Would you be interested in that?
Sure. Yes.
Let's see here. It's a thing called Game 7 World Series. That is a baseball tournament, and that's going to be held June 23rd through 28th at Drakes Creek Park. And I'm mentioning some of these because it's not all out-of-state teams. Some of the teams that participate are local or Middle Tennessee teams. So some of your viewers here may be interested in some of these tournaments. Game 7 World Series, June 23rd through 28th. Then we have the USSSA World Series. I always leave an S out of there. There's 3 S's. USSSA World Series. That's July 6th through the 12th. PGF. That's Premier Girls Fast Pitch Softball. And their tournament will be July 13 through 19. And then we have the SPA. That's Softball Players Association. And that's your senior women, ages 35 and up. And their tournament is July 29th through August 2nd. Of course, some of these tournaments were scheduled for earlier. They had to be postponed, and now they've been rescheduled.
I'm just glad we're able to get them back and keep the tournaments going. Anybody that has ever been a sports fan, I know my kids play ball. We play travel ball. And even our high school spring sports that weren't able to happen. It's very heartbreaking to families that is, their summer. So I'm really excited to see these things actually being able to take place.
Yeah, travel ball is a way of life now. Back when I was in high school, we played 1 or 2 sports in school, and in the summertime we goofed off. Or work or goof off the whole summer. But now, if you're in travel ball, you take it serious and you play year round, and especially in the summer, you go around and play in a lot of these tournaments.
Yes, like I say, my kids did that, and it wasn't as popular when my kids were doing it, but it was becoming more popular, and more people were doing it. And now it's really, like you say, it's a way of life for many. So glad to see those things come into some semblance of a normal. So with this, are they putting any restrictions on the spectators or anything like that? I know that's always the concern about how many are coming and that type thing.
Well, of course, as we mentioned, the governor came out with some new guidelines today, and I haven't had a chance to see that yet. So he may have opened things up a little more. But it was our understanding as of yesterday that with these sports tournaments, you can gather your teams or your families can gather, but no more than 50 people to a group. Of course, the players will be spread out on the field, and I think they're going to be spread out of the dugouts a little bit. But I'm anxious to read what the mayor came out with. The governor came out with today to see if anything has changed with that.
Well, and typically with travel ball, you didn't have more than 13 players at the most, typically just because you didn't want to go and spend all that money and travel if you weren't going to play a whole lot. So, that's usually a high number. And then you didn't have a lot of spectators because it was only the parents and siblings that would come. So I think it'll be easy for them to stay within those numbers.
It should be. And of course, I think the parks and others will do what they can to keep social distancing in order. And I know we're going to try to have hand sanitizer stations around the park and that kind of thing as well.
Well, what's interesting is I was looking at those today because I'm trying to purchase some myself for my Music on Main, and because this will be a way of life now, and so we will be needing those for Strawberry Festival and things like that. So yes, and I'm looking at locating some of those as well.
Yeah, it is a different way of life now, and with food and things like that, it's no more self-service where you can just walk up and handle all the food. It'll be handed to you now. We do the same thing at our office now with brochures. Rather than let you go through all the brochures, we ask you, what are you interested in? And if they say, I want a map of Portland, then we give them your map from behind the counter.
Right. Well, in a lot of things changing, I'm gonna see what your opinion and your thought is. I know this is not you don't get to make the decision, but what do you think is going to happen with college football?
Well, I'm a big fan. Gosh, I think they did just announce today that the NBA was going to do a playoff, and I don't know that they're going to have fans though. I think you're going to see college football. I think you're going to see NFL football, but I'm not sure about fans in the stands. It may just be all on television, and I don't know. That's a tough one because how do you decide who gets to come into the stadium and who does not? If you have
I know that UT had everybody still buy their season passes, and they had been rumored that season ticket holders maybe just go. Well, then you only have one side because.
Well, they would have to spread them out, but I don't know.
Well, but what I'm saying is, you would only have UT's fans when they're at UT, and you would only have Alabama fans when they're at Alabama, if that's the case.
Well, that's true. That's true, unless you just gave a few of them to the visiting team. Of course, in most college stadiums, you've got 99% home team, and there's maybe one little section of. Well, I'm not going to mention the local college here that's close, but except for that college. Where it's 50-50 or 40-60 or whatever, but
I don't know. So close. When you go to a UT game, I mean, the designated seat area is not as large as it should be anyway. So they're going to have to do some changes, but I'm hoping that they will be able to have some people in the stands.
Well, you would think at least maybe each team could have a certain limit of fans in the stadium, let them spread out. Maybe the band. I don't know, band and cheerleaders, but it's going to be different. But I just can't believe we're not going to have a season. I think it's going to happen. It's just going to be altered a little bit.
Yes, I know that people do look forward to that. So what do you do if you don't have football to watch on Saturday, college and pro on Sunday? I mean,
I'm a big sports fan, and I just, I was tickled to death to have the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls documentary on there for 5 weeks, but now that's over with. So it's like, okay, What's next?
I need to watch the rest of those. I only got started on those, and I don't think to search for something. I just go and turn my TV on whatever's on most of the time watching it. So I need to get back out there and.
Well, from what I've seen, of course, I watched it on ESPN when it first came out, but now I think on Sunday nights they're playing it on ABC on Channel 2.
I think you can get it on Netflix too.
Yes, you can get it on Netflix. That's right. It's
So,
very interesting, and it gives you a lot of behind the scenes things that were going on. I didn't realize that Scottie Pippen was so underpaid and was so unhappy when all that was happening. But Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time. That's my opinion.
well, we had you on so you could tell us that because you are the expert, right?
Exactly.
So, but anything else going on that you would like to get us information on? I know, as we said, that tourism dollars come from the hotel motel tax. So that is something that we as citizens are not funding the Bureau, but it is something that people coming here, they're able to help us take that money and use that to get more people to come in here and spend money to help us with our taxes. So,
well, and the occupancy tax is just a drop in the bucket because your local businesses are going to also prosper when visitors come. Your restaurants, people will come and eat in the restaurants. Your hotels, a lot of people don't think about it, but transportation. If somebody drives in here for a few days, they're going to have to fill their car up with gas, and the economic impact is much greater than just the occupancy tax. That's just what funds our office. But just to give you an example, in 2018, visitors spent $158 million in Sumner County. That's quite a bit of money.
It is, and I think that it's something that if you think about it on the other side of when you go to another city, another state, and you're visiting, how much money you spend while you're there, that kind of makes you understand that when people come here, they have to do these things. And when we talk about things like the Strawberry Festival, now the Strawberry Festival is a widespread, brings people from a lot of places, and we actually are capitalizing on people that are even in the other cities. They may be visiting Nashville, but they know that the Strawberry Festival is going on, so they're going to just make their way up here as something else to do. So,
absolutely, and just like we were talking about the travel ball. I've been in Kroger or Walmart or wherever, and during a sports tournament, and all of a sudden here come 5 teenagers with their parents, and they're looking for a toothbrush and some hairspray or whatever because they forgot it and didn't bring it with them, so they have to go to our local stores and purchase those things.
Well, and another thing that people may not realize is you bring bus tours to the area too. So you'll have people that will come and bring a busload of people, and they'll stay here, and you engage them and set up their tour as to different places and different things that they can do in the county. And that actually, you've actually been a runner to Walmart with some of them. I think put them in your vehicle and take them over to Walmart and let them buy things.
I have. That's the story that I tell. One of the tour groups we had here several years ago was a tour bus full of senior citizens, and we had finished for the day. We pulled up to the hotel, and I got on the microphone and said, "Okay, thank you all so much. We'll see you in the morning." And I said, "Are there any questions?" And several people raised their hand, and I said, "Yeah, what can we help you with?" And they said, "Well, we want to make a Walmart run. Will you take us?" I said, "Well, I don't know if the bus will take you or not." And the bus driver said, "No, I can't. My hours are over with. I can't drive anymore tonight." So I loaded 5 people at a time up in my car and took them to Walmart and watched them buy all kinds of stuff. So that's when it really hit home for me that visitors do spend money when they're here.
Yes, yes. So what we need is we need another hotel up here in the Portland area on the Sumner County side. So that's something you need to be working on.
We're working on it. Of course, we hope with that interchange there by the Welcome Center, there's going to be new hotels. Of course, that's near the county line, so they may be in Sumner County, they may be in Robertson County. So we're hoping they're going to be in Sumner County.
Yes, even if they do go to Robertson County, we'll pull them over here to spend their money.
That's exactly right.
But yes, it is. That is what we're looking at. And we have a great hotel chain. The Ernst family has the hotel chain here, and I've really put bugs in his ear, so I'm hoping that we're going to be that next one that he looks at.
Hopefully so.
But well, Barry, we do appreciate all that you do and providing us information. I know you were doing COVID-19 updates as far as the governors and the numbers, and we appreciate that. I know everybody's was at one point was really trying to find out information. Now they're like, let's just be done with it. I don't want to hear any more. And
That's exactly right.
but we do appreciate all that you do, and your job's been like mine. It's been more planning to cancel, and but hopefully we're about to get on the other side of that and get to move. Somebody said they'd like to see more businesses come in near the new interchange. So I agree. I think that will happen. And I think it's just a matter of time. You just kind of they're looking. I'll tell you that I've gone to the retail conferences, and they are looking to put things out there, and hotels have been looking. So we do have people interested, but that's not a quick decision. These are large decisions. It takes usually a committee, and they probably give them site selection ideas. So it takes a little bit, but hopefully we're going to get some things going out there.
Hopefully so. Hopefully so.
All right. Well, Barry, you have the great weekend coming up, and you can just let us know about the historical sites. We'll post all of that on our Facebook as well.
And thanks for everything y'all do at the chamber. Y'all are great. We appreciate everything y'all have done. I know everybody's been working overtime during this COVID-19, so thank you.
That's right. We're ready to get back to having stuff. I actually had my first networking event this morning. So
yeah, I saw that.
I saw people instead of a screen like this. So that was very comforting to actually know that there are people around and we're not just screen people anymore. So,
well, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.